Good afternoon, CMS families. Thank you for joining today's Family Academy Lunch and Learn. Attendance matters here today, ready for tomorrow. We're excited to begin our 2026 year with such an impactful and important session. Please take a moment to sign in using the bit.ly that's on the screen and it has been added into the Q&A. bit.ly/Family Academy sign in. We've also included today's slide deck within the Q&A for you to review as needed. If you are in need of translation supports on today's call, please select Captions from the top right-hand corner of your screen, then select Show Live Captions, and from there, please select the drop-down from the language of your choosing. Once again, please select Captions in the top right-hand corner, then Show Live Captions, and from there, please select your spoken language from the drop-down provided. And families, we are excited to engage with you today. Please feel free to ask any questions, share any wonderings using the Q&A feature. In the top right-hand corner, you'll click Q&A, and then a text box will appear. We will monitor the Q&A during today's call and ensure that all questions have been answered. And please share any reactions with our team. Give us a thumbs up, a big heart emoji, or a wow for any of that new learning. We want to ensure that this information is meeting your needs and is helping support your learner at home. And at this time, I am excited to turn it over to Ms. Kimberly Farrow, who is our social work specialist, who will be sharing more regarding attendance matters.
Thank you, Ms. Rush, and thank you, families, for taking some time out of your day to join us for today's session. So let's get on into it. So as a district, we approach challenges to attendance from a supportive lens. Good attendance starts with care and commitment, and we acknowledge that our families and students are more often than not doing the best that they can. So attendance challenges are common and solvable, especially when we tackle them together. Before we get into the meat of today's session, I just would like for you, in one word, tell us, how do mornings feel in your household right now? Are you the household where, maybe your students with a little bit of a caffeine pick-me-up or a little bit of a push in the mornings? It might be a little bit slow moving, but they get up out of the bed and out of the house on time. Are you the household where your children the moment their feet hit the ground, they are on 10 and ready to go? Or are you the parent who is dragging your child out of the house, kicking and screaming? You can either place a word, describe your morning in one word, or give me a thumbs up if your mornings are good, and give me the surprised face if they're a little bit of a struggle for you. Just so we know who's in the room and how we can support. All right, so this is our third time being able to join the Family Academy Lunch and Learns talking about attendance. And our goal over the course of our sessions is to help parents build their attendance toolkit. So we hope that you will deepen your understanding of attendance expectations and be able to support your student through common attendance challenges. We hope that you'll know who to contact and feel comfortable reaching out to your school for support if you find your student or family experiencing a barrier to attendance. If you're still figuring it out, that's okay too. You're in the right place. So our first session focused on the importance of attendance and how, in accordance with the North Carolina compulsory attendance law, it's our expectation that any student who's between the ages of 7 and 16 and enrolled in school attends every day. We shared some resources for establishing good attendance habits and information on who to contact if you find yourself facing some challenges. During session 2, we touched on common barriers to attendance and took an in-depth look at 2 particular challenges. So how to support students through test anxiety and then illness, and also emotional readiness given the time of year that we were in. Today, we're going to talk about what to do when getting to school is still hard. So we'll explore a few additional common challenges and provide practical tools that parents can implement at home to support attendance. Again, hopefully adding to your existing attendance toolkit. We recognize that you as parents are the experts on your own family, and we hope that we can move together from awareness around the importance of attendance to action. If you have experienced some of these challenges that we've talked about, I'm hopeful that the information has been helpful to you, or that today's information will be helpful to you. And if you have not, then I'm hopeful that you'll feel confident in sharing this information with a friend or family member who might be experiencing some challenges with their own child or children. So this time of year can be tough. We're just coming off of winter break. And so the list that you see here is not exhaustive, but these challenges listed here are factors that commonly influence attendance. So again, just coming off of winter break, your sleep habits and regular daily routines were likely impacted. And it might be hard to get back into the swing of things. So we, children and grown-ups alike, may not feel that motivation to get back on track. Other factors affecting motivation to attend school include school experiences. So maybe this school year hasn't played out exactly like you expected. Family circumstances or family schedules and logistics, such as transportation challenges, travel plans, etc., might conflict with school scheduling. We recognize that families experiencing barriers to attendance does not mean that a family does not value education. So as a district, we encourage our school-based and district staff who are engaging in conversations around attendance to use a strengths-based approach. We never want a family to feel like they are being blamed for their circumstances. We don't point a finger at what's wrong. So if reaching out, we simply reach out to determine what the challenge is and what's getting in the way. Barriers for us are a signal that there might be something more going on with the family that we can support. However, we can't help to problem solve if we don't know what those challenges are. So there are practical things that you can do at home to set the expectation of regular school attendance. Routine and predictability are a busy parent's best friend. If you have an evening and morning routine that works well, then I encourage you to stick with that. Routines reduce common stressors like going through multiple outfits in the morning because you're trying to figure out what to wear, or running around the house looking for your shoes or your keys when you needed to be out of the door 5 minutes ago. Decision fatigue is real. Give me a thumbs up if you've heard of that phrase before. So I know for many parents, sometimes you just don't feel like making decisions, right? You're just burnt out for whatever reason. So having a routine helps you as the parent. It helps the child know what needs to happen in the morning and can eliminate some of those battles that you might find yourself facing when trying to get out of the door. So the next few slides, we'll take a deeper dive into some of the barriers just mentioned and provide solutions that families can use to address these barriers. Sometimes we as parents may feel like we're doing all we can, but we're still at a loss. So one of the things that I want to focus on today is school avoidance. When students resist school, that resistance can stem from different things. That could be negative emotions or negative school experiences. or negative thoughts around school that oftentimes play a larger role in the student's lack of motivation to want to come to school. So again, school avoidance is a real thing. As a parent, think of that avoidance as a form of communication. It's not necessarily defiance. If your child is resistant to going to school, pay attention to what they're saying. Do they say things like, I don't feel well, I'm tired, I don't like school, school is just too hard, or a simple, I don't know? Sometimes a student may not be able to verbalize what they're thinking or feeling, but understanding the reason behind avoidance is crucial for determining how to approach your child and offering support. So academic frustration can arise from overwhelming coursework, leading to disengagement and stress. Social challenges can create feelings of anxiety and isolation, impacting a student's overall performance and enthusiasm for school. Fatigue and anxiety can hinder a student's ability to focus, leading to avoidance behaviors and an increasing sense of overwhelm. So you can think of this as like the chicken and the egg anecdote. You don't know which comes first, but when a student starts experiencing any one of these factors, it can impact their desire and their motivation to want to come to school and lead to school avoidance. It can become a vicious cycle that's hard to get out of. So if this is your challenge, these are some ways that you can support your student. As I previously stated, understanding why students resist school is key in knowing what action to take as a parent or that adult supporting a student through school avoidance. Based on what your child is saying, you might be able to differentiate between avoidance. So are they trying to avoid an encounter with someone or a specific subject? Are they experiencing anxiety? So does the idea of attending school cause negative physical feelings? Or is it just simply disengagement? Are they just not motivated to attend school because it doesn't interest them, so to speak? Do they feel no social connection? Something else to consider is what does the student gain by avoiding going to school? So it's okay to validate your child's feelings without reinforcing avoidance. Examples of ways to respond might include saying something along the lines of, I hear what you're saying, and I understand that this feels hard, but we're still going to school today. Or you can say something like, let's make a plan together. So I get it. As a parent, sometimes we have to pick our battles. But when these behaviors frequently lead to the student's desired result of not going to school, that reinforces the behavior that we're trying to improve or counteract. So I want to caution parents against escalating into a power struggle. Your response can be as simple as, this is the expectation that you go to school. This is the consequence if that expectation is not met. How can I help you meet this expectation? So ultimately, I do encourage you to respond in a way that feels natural for you while also keeping expectations calm and consistent. I've linked some resources here. Attendance Works is a resource that we commonly use when having conversations around attendance with parents. And they've done a lot of research around barriers to attendance and effective ways to support those various barriers. So these are some helpful resources here for you. So again, you want to validate the student's feelings, but keep your expectations calm and consistent. Don't get heightened when you are responding as the parent. Focus on getting through today, not the whole school year. And if you try these things and are still having challenges with encouraging your student to attend school, communicate with your child's teacher and the student services team so that they can provide additional assistance. Up to this point, we have focused on primarily what the parent can do to support student attendance, but students have a role to play in this too, right? So the resource, so one thing that you can do is getting your child involved. Give them some ownership, give them some responsibility. If you have an elementary age student, think about some of the things that you can build into your routine that they can be responsible for. Encourage them to pick out their own clothes. Encourage them to decide what they want to pack for lunch. Encourage them to decide what what reward they might get if they make it to school that day, within reason, of course. For our older kids, have them set an alarm clock to get themselves up. They can follow a schedule. Say, for example, if they need to be up at 6, they need to be in the shower by 6:30. They need to be dressed and ready to walk out of the door by 7. So set those smaller goals for them to meet um, as part of your routine. You want to celebrate their progress. So we don't expect a person experiencing challenges to improve drastically overnight. Celebrate those small movements towards progress, not perfection. And then you want to connect attendance to what matters to them. We'll talk about that in just a moment. So this resource that you see here is called a forced choice survey. I encourage you to explore this link when you get a chance. So this is a survey that's commonly used in the school setting when supporting students who are demonstrating minor challenging behaviors in the classroom. It's a simple survey that can be completed with the child or independently, depending on the student's age, which helps the adult supporting that behavior know what motivates them. If you're familiar with the 5 love languages, I kind of equate this to that concept. The survey lists different scenarios that the child will respond to with their preferred reward or incentive. Their choices are tabulated at the end of the survey, and you get an idea of what motivates the child. So there are things like adult approval, competitive approval, peer approval, independent rewards, or consumable rewards. So adult approval is exactly that. Maybe the child thrives off of adult interactions. So if this is what your child is motivated by, determine a reward or an incentive that could be as simple as spending quality time, being intentional about spending quality time with your child if they meet a certain goal, doing a special activity or a hobby together that you both enjoy. If they like competitive approval, that could be, maybe if you have a group of siblings, the sibling that meets their goal gets a certain reward or a small treat at the end of the week. If they like peer approval, those are things that can be, they receive recognition from their peers for meeting a certain goal. So, hey, if you meet this goal by the end of the week, we can schedule a play date with such and such, or you can invite this friend over, or you can invite this friend for an activity together. Independent rewards are things like maybe you can offer extra screen time, maybe an extra 30 minutes of screen time, or we can go to the park and you can play for an extra 30 minutes, something along those lines. And then consumable rewards are Treats, exactly that, something that a tangible reward that the child might enjoy. I was working with a first grader a few years ago who had some separation anxiety and was struggling with coming to school. And with the parents' approval, we determined that, he said he loved Chick-fil-A. So we determined that Chick-fil-A was going to be his reward if he could come to school 5 days a week. And it was just as simple as that. All it took was a kid's meal from Chick-fil-A to get him to start coming to school every day. So it could be something as simple as that. I do want to caution you to be mindful of consumable rewards. We know we don't want to associate rewarding or withholding food as a reward or punishment. So extras are okay. We're not going to say, well, you don't eat dinner. You're not going to eat dinner if you don't come to school. Of course, we're going to make sure our students are receiving what they need as parents, right? But you could say, well, if you don't meet your goal this week, then we won't have ice cream after dinner. So something like that. But once you determine what motivates your child, so again, whether that's extra screen time, stickers on a sticker chart, just doing a favorite activity, start with one small change. Small steps make a big difference. And so choose one strategy to try this week is what I would encourage you to do. Be mindful that progress is not always linear. That means you might not see you might not see, like I said, drastic improvement overnight, but consistency is key. So again, connect attendance to what matters to your student by engaging them in conversations about their future goals. They could be their short-term or long-term goals. So attendance and its connection to sports or other extracurricular activities, graduation or plans after graduation, and how going to school can help them reach those goals. So ideally, every day will operate like a well-oiled machine, but we know that every day is not always smooth. Things like transportation, work schedules, housing changes, weather, these challenges are common and understandable. Schools can help, but again, they need to know what those challenges are that you as a family are experiencing so that they can help. I've included a link here to another resource from Attendance Works, which helps give families ideas on how you can support your students' attendance throughout the winter. And partnering with the school early is key. So I want you to know that you as parents are not alone when you encounter challenges. So think about, who do you feel most comfortable contacting at the school? And do you know how to contact them? Reaching out when you need help is a strength. Okay, so I want to play a brief video for you all.
As school social workers, our main job is to help connect families, the home, and community resources. So focusing on attendance is one of our biggest jobs within CMS.
Here, I'm that advocate, I'm that special support from that transition from home to school, making sure our scholars are here every day, making sure they're on time, if they need any resources, providing those resources for our families, providing that extra push that some teachers may need in their classrooms to get the kids up and ready to start the school year.
We do a lot working with families, families that are in transition, families that might have stuff going on at home. We work a lot to help support their students and the families so that we can help them all get to school and be successful.
Our school social workers are our first line with our student attendance. So some of the programs that we have with a focus on attendance are our attendance contracts that we have with students. And also our social emotional learning lessons try to create a space of culture and a sense of belonging so that students want to come to school. It's very important that they show up, but we also want to make sure that they come to school and want to come to school with the correct learning mindset.
We do a lot as a team, to work with families and build relationships with families so we can identify any barriers and then work together to eliminate those barriers. We do a lot to educate families about the importance of attendance and the impact of chronic absenteeism can have on both social, emotional, and academic learning. It's both.
It's important that the community understands that school social workers are that integral link between the home, community, and school.
So attendance is important. It's very important. It helps these scholars with their next journey in life and their career endeavors. It's very important to be on time because they've missed out on creating those relationships with their teachers and with their support staff members.
I think it's important that parents know that we're here every day, open. But if we don't know what some of the barriers are, if we don't know what some of the issues are, then we won't be able to help facilitate and help them. We have resources that we can use, but again, we need that relationship to be built so that we're informed.
I would encourage families to just really partner with the school and look for opportunities that would expose them to different resources.
It's a team effort. I think we start from day one, getting kids on board, getting those habits started day one in kindergarten, so that we're all working towards that goal of good attendance. Families, teachers, staff, everyone here wants to get kids at school on time every day to be successful.
So here are some additional resources to support attendance. Again, these are just common barriers that our families experience. This was included in our slide deck last session, but I thought it was important to include it again. If you find your family facing any of these challenges, please reach out to your child's school for support, or you can explore the links listed here for additional information. And that concludes my portion, but I am happy to answer any questions that there may be.
Thank you so much for such a comprehensive overview and for all of those great resources. Families, I'm going to re-highlight the slide deck is linked within the Q&A and will be included in the recording. So please access those resources and links as needed and use them to support your student at home. We do have one question within the Q&A, really focused on when things maybe are a little bit off kilter in our community, or if there's any regional events or crises. Are there any state safety considerations that parents need to be aware of when managing their child's attendance patterns within the community? This might be reference to some recent events within the community where that might have impacted attendance.
So I want to make sure I'm understanding the question. Ultimately, and if I don't answer the question, please feel free to clarify. So as a district, we follow, our support comes from the lens of following the North Carolina compulsory attendance law. So the expectation is that a student will be in school every day, and if they are unable to attend, there are certain reasons that are listed in our board policy that qualify or constitute excused absences. So if a student is absent for a reason that does not fall under something that is identified as excused in board policy, then that will be considered an unexcused absence. However, we encourage families to maintain that communication and open dialogue with the school staff so that they are aware of the reasons for absences, whether they are excused or unexcused according to policy, and can support as needed based on the family circumstances.
Wonderful. It's so great to hear that it's a written policy that we can easily reference that we're following. And if our families have any wonderings or concerns, who is the best point of contact within that school for them to reach out to in those moments?
So I would encourage them to start by reaching out to their child's teacher, and the teacher can then direct them to the school support staff. So your school counselor, school social worker, school nurse, depending on the reasons for those absences and how they're impacting your student. And then there's also front office staff who receives those absence notifications when they are submitted by parents.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for such a easy and comprehensive view of attendance and those next steps to really apply. Families, if you have any additional questions, please feel free to reach out to your child's teacher or any of those other wonderful members of your school's team that Ms. Farrow has mentioned, or feel free to reach out to our team as well. Ms. Farrow has shared her email on the screen if there's any questions that come after today's meeting. Thank you so much for your time and engagement in today's Family Academy Lunch and Learn. We do hope to see you at our next session next week and engage with us throughout the remainder of the year. Have a wonderful day.